Hi, and welcome to Family Bible Study number 30. I'm John White with the Westside Church of Christ, and I hope you're all doing well this evening. Grab your families, grab your Bibles, turn over to 2 Peter chapter 3 as we finish out this book tonight. Go ahead and read it, then come back to this video. So in this final chapter of 2 Peter, we see him trying to encourage his audience to remain faithful to God. Specifically, he begins to talk about the second coming of the Lord. Many of these Christians began to doubt that God would return at all, since it hadn't happened yet. So Peter takes the time to remind them that just because it wasn't happening as quickly as we would like to, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen at all. In verse 8, it talks about the patience of God, and how a day to God is like 1,000 years. Certainly, we struggle to understand and wrap our minds around the idea of just a single lifetime, much less thousands of years. But this is exactly the context that God has about life and the flow of time. That patience is actually a good thing, because what God desires is that all people would come to know Him. If you were not patient, then that would not be possible. Peter also challenges us that since someday God will be returning to destroy everything and take us home, that we ought to live holy and godly lives as we look forward to that day. Even though that day would bring destruction on heaven and earth, God's promise is that He will provide a new heaven where righteousness dwells. The other thing that Peter warns us about is that other people will come to make fun of our beliefs and our God. They will point to the fact that He hasn't returned yet, so therefore, He must not be able to at all, or maybe He isn't real. This is simply a misunderstanding of God's timing and how He operates. Many times, it's something we struggle with too, that God's timing is not always our own. We want things to happen in our lifetime or in the way that we see it, instead of trusting that God is in control and He knows what's best. Take a moment in the upcoming section, pause the video for some discussion questions with your family, then come back for a family challenge. This week, I want you as a family to practice the act of patience. When you have a problem with someone in your family, try to stop and be patient so that you can understand them more. Just because they don't do things the way you might want to or in the time that you want doesn't mean that they don't care about you. Take some time and try a little patience with them to see what the result may be. This has been John White with the Westside Church of Christ. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening.